Hey everybody, welcome back to Reflective Relationships. Today, we are going to talk about something so exciting. It's called fighting. Isn't that exciting, honey?
It's going to be a touchy one.
So, we don't want to be putting this podcast out and pretending like we're not real and authentic human beings that have all the same problems as everyone else in the world, which it's not necessarily problems. It's like working out differences, right? And just when you spend a lot of time with one human being, then you get that mirror reflection quite often about how you're acting or what you could do better or things that you ignore about yourself. And so, we fight, right, babe?
We fight.
It's not always kind, it's not always pretty, but we do get to the point. And how do we get to the point, babe?
Communication.
Mm-hmm. And what have we decided that has to be like our underlining fundamental rule in our fight?
Yeah. So first I'd like to also say too, though, that when we do get into a fight, we do a really good job of healing afterwards. Like we don't brush it under the rug. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But what he is referring to is what we've realized is kind of the key to any disagreement, tiff as I like to call them, is remembering in the middle of it that we love each other and we are a team, and it's him and I against the problem. And the problem is outside of us and not identifying with it.
Yeah, and what we've really noticed is that like the problem usually is an unhealed childhood something, and so we just try to offer a lot of space and holding and a container to be like, okay, there's the problem. There's the 8-year-old Eric Peterson that's freaking the F out and he needs a hug, right? And so then it's like, okay, who are these grown adults over here that can look at this problem and be like, what can we do to hug this little feller, And so I think, mostly we're just trying to say that like in the midst of a fight, it's really holding that space and like holding that problem, not within the relationship, but as a separate entity that needs healing. I mean, how do you view?
Well, and also, sometimes when you start to get triggered emotionally, you can forget to do that. So again, remembering that after the disagreement, it's so important now that you're calmed down to take the time and really communicate the problem, because we're definitely guilty of getting emotionally charged by something and not fighting gracefully, and but we always make sure to take time afterward to communicate, okay, what really caused that? And that's when we get into discovering maybe it was something from one of our childhoods or an insecurity within us, that then we really uncover what caused the fight to happen. Because a lot of times when one of us approaches the other, there is actually an issue or a boundary or something that's needed within the relationship, because you have two people, very different, every person is different, and you're trying to cohabitate, you're trying to build a life together, not just a life alone, but still...
That's been one of my things, huh?
But still honoring that life alone. So whenever that happens, naturally you're going to get into topics that you need to talk about in order to make sure both people are continuously comfortable with each other. You got to recheck in with each other. And sometimes if you don't check in often enough, something gets sparked. And that's when you get caught off guard. And that's when a fight happens. And it's very important afterward to take the time to discuss what caused it, what is the inner shadow, and then how can we better serve each other next time.
Okay, you brought up a lot there.
I did. I know. I tend to do that.
We didn't unpack any of that. So first of all, I think when you said that it's easy to forget how to maintain holding that space while somebody else is going through it, say it is the 8-year-old Eric that's freaking out as this adult and, says something to you, and automatically her conditioned 8-year-old self or teen or, whatever it is that reflects that, snaps back with like something like, well, you're hurting me. And we're actually talking about this hurt little child. I'm freaking out as an adult, and then it's matched with another condition that we haven't seen. And it's like, we've sort of discussed, and to unpack that part of it, that like the person that comes forward with the problem, the other one really needs to like hold up before they're responding in their reactive, conditioned way, and to like be like, wait, what am I hearing here before I start to like judge that situation and react to it.
And also to know and to have that mindset of, okay, my partner's not coming at me with an attack. They're not coming at me just to make me feel bad or to tell me I'm doing anything wrong. They're coming at me with trust that I can hear them and better serve them. But then sometimes it is hard when you're hearing something if what you're hearing strokes at some wound that you have.
Right. And then that gets to the point of where you're saying that it's two people trying to cohabitate and like move forward in life and progress together, but also keeping their individuality. I know that has been sort of a constant battle between us and safety and freedom, and really finding out what that means for both ends of that. And the safety comes within the relationship, and the freedom comes to be who you are individually. And so that part, has been a big struggle for us, just because we've had to reframe what freedom looks like, even, because freedom has to be within the bounds of the relationship and not crossing, a threshold of uncomfortability for the other person, but also, I guess, just knowing what that container looks like, right? Is that...
Yeah, and we've even discussed that, a lot of times a relationship is seen as a container. However, the relationship offers freedoms that you don't have when you're not in a relationship.
Certainly.
Yeah, so it's about also just shifting that mindset.
Especially that...
Redefining freedom.
Yeah, especially that freedom of just knowing that you're loved and cared for, and like, when all else fails out in the world and you come home bumming, it's like... I can nuzzle into her and just be like, okay, life is okay, and so that is like a really good point to just say, like, yeah, we're continuously trying to create this container of relationship, but with freedom to be who we are. Like, I never want to be, a lot of times through the fighting, we'll get to the point where we'll be like, well, fine, then I'll just do it your way. And it's like, no, please don't do it my way. Like, I'm really just asking you to like respect my way, or to like know, that hurts me, or that seems like we need to create some trust within that issue to like keep your freedom, or whatever that looks like. It's like just redefining the lines, right?
And a lot of times too, it's about coming to, the more you communicate, eventually you find that there is actually a common ground.
Always.
But a lot of times you start out where you're so far apart, and that's when you got to remember, okay, I love this human, I've chose this human, I'm not against them. And as you keep reminding yourself that, you come closer and closer and closer, and then you eventually realize, oh, okay, I can actually do this, no problem. Right. At first it seems like I can never do that. I can never meet that need. I can never uphold that boundary or whatever. But eventually you get to that point where you're like, they're not even asking a lot, But,
right, and I think that's why we decided that the foundation, the fundamental thing is that the problem is outside of us. Mm-hmm. It might be us as a child or in this conditioned mindset, but like, it's still, we have to like pull it out wherever it is and put it here and be like, okay, we are trying to figure this out. Not, I'm trying to say that you're a bad human, or like you don't respect my feelings or whatever. So I think that's, why we really want to lay that out there, is like really pull that problem out of the fight, see what it is. If it takes a minute, if you need a minute, and I know that my love here isn't always good about like giving some space to the problem. She wants
I want to fix it right away. Come back together right away.
Usually what the guy wants to do. Well, my lady, she's like, we need to talk now. And it's like, okay, cool. But like, could I just like get my breath back, And so also just knowing what each other needs to be able to face that problem together and not like stay in conflict. And
never go to bed angry.
And no, that's a good point. We don't like doing that.
You don't want to wake up and still be in it. You want to have every day be a fresh start.
Wow. And to imagine we did that this week. Oops. And here we are telling you, hey, you got this. It's because it's an ever-evolving process. And I think that's why we like to talk about the things when it's happening. So we can really like materialize what that looks like and to move forward and to like just help shine light on your relationship as well, to say, you know, it does take a lot of communication. And it takes a lot of like knowing that you are that mirror, that reflection to those wounded parts. Like what a relationship really is that mirror that says like, oh, you're conditioned like this like a child. Oh, you feel insecure about this. And like all of these things just come up as this reflective mirror to you. And then you're like, stop showing me that, you know? But really it's like, thank God you're showing me that, so that we as a team now can like pull that out of whoever it is, put it over here and say, let's fix this. Let's heal it. It's really about healing. I mean, this whole life, right? It's just, we're here to heal past lives, karma within this life, you know, the things that your parents were supposed to fix and they never did. And then they pass it on to you. And then you see yourself doing it in your own relationship. And you're like, whoa, that's just like, oh shoot. Okay. This is my responsibility, right? Like,
and eventually, and also knowing like, sometimes you're going to mess up really bad, and then sometimes you're going to do a really good job. And, you know, an example of a really good job was something didn't go exactly as planned. We were supposed to be having a date night, and then something had to take our attention that was definitely needed to do. And our date night didn't happen. We were in separate cars, and on the drive home, I was like, I don't want to bring this frustration home. So I call him on the phone in the car right in front of me, and I'm like, hey, I'm feeling really frustrated. I just want to like purge it all out of me right now, so I'm not mad when we get home, so then the rest of our night's not bad. And he just listened and held space and let me complain, let me just vent it out, didn't try to fix it, didn't try to say, well, you got no reason to be mad, you know, we did this or whatever. Like, he just let me get it out. And then we got to come home and it was already just vented, and we were able to still have a nice night once we got home.
Okay, just a side note to you guys, like, thank God I listened that time, but most often I want to fix it, right? Like, babe, like, we were together. Of course, life's not always going to work out the way we think it's going to work.
He says that quite a bit, yeah.
You know, but then also just like when I do it right and I just hear her, she just really needs to say it and say, well, that wasn't the way I had planned it and it sucked. And I go, I'm sorry, babe. And she's like, cool, it's over. Whoa.
Yeah.
Or I could have tried to fix it. And that would have
or
been
tell
like,
me I shouldn't feel that way.
Ooh,
yeah.
Who would do that? Anyway. Yes. Yes. And I'm just saying, like, you know, for both sides, men and women, like, we both want to just kind of fix it or band-aid it or move on sometimes. And really, just like any emotion in life, it takes 90 seconds for an emotion to move through your body. So like, well, maybe we were on the phone for a minute and a half, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I listened to her. Complaint was valid. We didn't make it through date night. In fact, it was, I was in snow and rain and scooping ice and water and like whatever else off a roof on our date, you know, and it wasn't
and I was
pleasant.
alone.
And yeah, I was with like a bunch of different people and not on a date, you know, so.
But you're right. It was, I got the emotion out and then it was over, versus if I hadn't called you, I would have brought it home. I would have maybe been like cold shouldering or whiny or never would have expressed what I was upset about, and it would have just carried on.
Yeah.
And if you wouldn't have let me just express it, then it could have become a fight, you know, if it wasn't just allowed the space. So that was a great example of when the space was created and the emotion just got to move through and it didn't then derail everything.
So, I mean, with that as a example, like, you're going to be able to move through whatever problem as long as you allow that emotion to move through, you know, whether it's self-doubt, childhood wounding, trauma from something, past conditioning, whatever that is, if you can hold the space, and that's literally all it is just holding a container of soft space for that emotion to run through.
For the person you love.
Yeah, and it's not that hard. We live in this world that's so like, that we forget that just like going into a sacred space of peace and healing and holding is where that emotion actually gets to run through the quickest. It's when we interrupt it and try to say, well, you could do this, or we could do that, or, you're just like that, or whatever it is, that we like halt that from just moving on through it. Literally every fight should be like 90 seconds. I mean, we even had one the other day that was what was it? Oh, we just didn't like feel like we were clicking, and we're like getting ready to leave the house, and she's like, well, I just don't feel very connected to you. And I'm like, oh, babe, we've been together all morning, and she's just like, okay, ass, and then we get in the car.
Didn't say that.
We get in the car, and she's like, if you would have just like held me for a minute and said, what can I do to help us connect better? Rather
than telling me, well, you should feel connected because we did this and this.
Dude, if I would have just stopped and made a container, held her like a minute and a half.
And then you did, though.
I did. I pulled the car over, pulled her out of the car, made out with her on the side of the road.
Swooped me out of the car.
Just to make her feel extra love. It's just to get to that laugh, It's to get to that point where like, okay, we're beyond the problem. The problem is there, and we are here, I think that's really like, I don't know, what else?
I just wanted to make sure we do talk, though, about, because we've had some really beautiful moments where we didn't do a very good job fighting. We just gave a couple examples when we did, but we didn't do a good job fighting. And then we had to take a little breather. But what we've gotten to be really good at after that is sitting down together, undivided attention, looking each other in the eye, maybe even holding each other, and really figuring out what is the wound. What is the wound that caused this? And what that helps a relationship to do is to heal individually within the partnership. And that's, to me, one of the biggest blessings of a dynamic relationship.
We're certainly not saying every 90 seconds you're going to get through a fight.
No, there's some big, deep shadows.
There's been some day-long ones, that we've had, and those are the ones that really need that love and compassion, and like really holding that space, like you just said, like, let's sit down and let's talk about it. What is it? And I mean, sometimes it would take like a half hour, 45 minutes for the actual problem to come. It would just be like tense and grr and gar and grr.
But you can feel when something, like, you can feel the shift. Like, all of a sudden there's just like this softness that happens. And then both of us finally get to this point where, because we have this safety within each other, but when you get angry or triggered or whatever you want to call it, we lose that for a minute. And then through just sitting together and holding that space together, eventually you can feel the softness come back, and all of a sudden we both get very vulnerable, and sometimes some really big things get uncovered. Some patterns, some conditions, some hurt that was caused to us in the past, some insecurities. And I'm so grateful that you and I are able to do that with each other, because again, it brings us each to a healing that we've needed our whole lives. And I know that makes us both better people outside of our relationship.
Well, absolutely. I mean, reflective relationships, the name itself is meant to stand for the fact that we just do hold that mirror for each other. And then not just holding that mirror, but then like, it's not like, hey, jerk, look at your problems here. It's like, hey, I see them too. It's triggering me as well. Let's work through this together. Let's find what the problem is, because we don't want to deal with it anymore, And I mean,
and we want to stop that generationally as well.
Absolutely. So we've seen it. We see the patterns in our own families and our own, where our sisters and brothers, take that same conditioning and run a certain way with it, and we run a certain way, and you try to combine all that together and be like, okay, where is the healing in this, and it's that conversation with each other that really helps find that, because a lot of times you're so just into your own thing that you need different perspectives to help you see from a different angle to actually heal it, because you're always looking at it from the same angle, like, well, I'm always like this, or my dad did this, or whatever.
The same eyes that got hurt in the first place.
Yeah.
So they can't see it. And they, so we bring each other a different tenderness without judgment.
We've judged too, don't get us wrong. We're just saying that we're trying our best here, and that we are trying to be a safety container, a holding space of, I see you, even though you're hurt. I see the one that I love, and I want to hold space for that one until we can figure out what this problem is and soothe it.
It's taken a lot of really hard times for us to get to the point where we at least have the awareness of how we can be better.
Definitely. Definitely. We've been together for 10 years now, working through things, and we're not pros. But we do hold a lot more space than we used to. We have learned more about our reactive points so that we don't get reacted ourselves and just stay soft. It's really just about a nonstop softening of your heart to really hold space for someone else. And I think, that's been probably one of our most blessed aspects of being in this relationship together, is the depth of softness that we can find. Because when it's you versus the world, you're kind of rigid. You're kind of like, I gotta do this, and nobody else is doing it, And then when you have somebody else, it's like, I gotta do this. Well, yeah, honey, but do it softer, Well, but do it with love, And it offers like so much more space to evolve within your own self, Yeah. What do you think? Any closing things that you want to say? Anything we missed about how to be soft and loving and hold space? And
just like our last conversation, you just communicate, talk to each other. That's how we closed the last one too, and I think that's very applicable from this conversation as well. Communicate. I
think we'll probably end every episode like that, because that's what it ends up being, is that like, until you can get it out in words or feeling, sometimes it's just softness and holding. Like, she needed just maybe if I would have just held her, we would have been easily done. And thank goodness, just down the road, I was able to do that, because it could have easily turned into a big fight. It really easily could have, because I was in this rigid mode of telling you, like, no, you're underappreciating what we're doing. And instead I was like, wait, okay, soften. And it is a challenge sometimes when the other person gets upset and like you feel attacked by it, because a lot of times you say, you make me feel this way, and it's like, no, I didn't mean to do that. Like, and so you take offense to it, and then your own like conditioning flares up, and then it's very hard for either one of you to soften. So it's like, we kind of also said that, like, whoever brings up the problem, I think this is a good point too. So you had mentioned earlier today that like, it's the woman who typically brings up the problem, because men typically are like, we'll just push through it. I'm not gonna like complain about something, or I'm not very vulnerable to say, this bothered me, can you help me through it? Because that's like more of a, I'm a man, I can deal with it perspective. And so a lot of times what you kind of mentioned is, it seems like the woman is the problem because she's bringing up the problems, and now you got to fight through it. And I want to say, hey men, like, first of all, be vulnerable, express your needs as well. And also don't take offense if the woman is saying something. It's like, it's probably pushed beyond the point. and you should have said something a long time ago and you didn't, and now you're going to make it her fault. I don't think so. Like,
and also remember, she's coming to you because she trusts you to be with her and to solve it and fix it and be that stability for her. You know, she's coming to you as her protector, her safety. And so she's trusting you with her feelings and trusting that together you're going to work through them and figure it out and be there for her. She's never coming to you just to make you feel bad. You know, she's coming to you for help. And so if you can just shift that mindset too, you might be able to receive her easier. And then also know she wants to hear your feelings too. She wants to be the same thing for you. So just...
And that approach is something too, you know, like, I know that we're saying that it's easy to just come and express yourself from either side. And that isn't always easy, especially when you're upset. It comes out in a really weird way sometimes. And so I think, you know, we're saying to hold this container of safe space, especially when somebody gets triggered and you hear something like, you know, it really bugs me when you do that or whatever, to not just be like, well, when you do this, it bugs me. Now we got to fight about it. You know, it's like, whoa, okay. Well, rather than me just reacting with my own problem here, let's take this problem and fix it first. And then if I do have something that I need to like bring up because I've been holding it in, well, then maybe this is a good time, but not right now. Well, the other problem has been presented first. Right. Let's soothe this one, and then if you have something to say.
And that brings up a good point as well. Like, if there's it's not something that comes up in the moment. It's something you're like, you know, I really want to talk to my partner about this. It's about knowing your partner and when is the right time. You know, when they just get home from work or whatever, that's not the right time to try to come approach them. You know, they don't have the capacity. So knowing, like, if it's not an immediate issue, if it's something you want to talk about, but it's not like on a time frame, wait for the right space. Wait until you know your partner has the capacity to receive it, you know, not...
I've definitely appreciated that about you. I know that, you know, she'll get triggered by something in, say, a group atmosphere, you know, not the time to come up to me and be like, the hell's going on here, you know, like... Because we don't want to fix, there's no capacity or time to fix it in a group atmosphere. So, like, you know, we'll get home, we'll get toothbrush, we'll be chilling, we'll be on the couch with a glass of wine. She'll be like, hey, babe, I've been wanting to talk to you about this. And it's like, okay, cool. And then what a much better place to talk about it. And then you have the means to hold that space for it, not like be reactive because you're in a social environment.
And I can't expect him to just be able to handle it at any time either. I have to know that he too has, I keep using the word capacity because I can't think of any others right now, but that he has limits as well. And he is also trying to fulfill a lot of things, and his energy goes a lot of spaces. And to know when we're home and it's just the two of us, his energy's on me, and he will be much softer already to receive whatever it is I am bringing to his attention. So just honoring your partner, that they too have many things in their life, not just me.
Yeah, most importantly, we have this, but you know, we are social creatures, and we are, you know, we have jobs, we have children, we have outside life, we have, you know, acquaintances, bonds that we're trying to create out in our communities and whatnot. And, you know, those are relative too, but like, just knowing that you have this foundation, and then also, again, not trying to encroach on every other, or feeling bad about, you know, not getting enough attention out in some social environment or whatever. And if that is the case, like, then approaching it at a safe time at home together when we have time to really look each other in the eye and be like, oh, I'm sorry, babe. I did recognize that I was kind of scattered or whatever it was, you know. So, yeah, it's been quite the journey, babe, and I've loved. And I've recently started to say, after our fight's over, Thank you for that. Because it's been like worth it. It's been worth going through the fight to like realize that that was one more thing that we got checked and healed, you know? And yeah, it may come up again, but it's just like a reminder, like, hey, I thought we healed this. Oh, okay, right. Let me heal it again, you know? And we can quickly get to it. And
patterns take time to break.
absolutely, I mean.
But you got to have that first awareness. And once you get that, then you know it's happening.
Yeah.
It'll spiral from there. But you have to have that communication and have that first awareness of something to then for it to be able to go on that journey of healing.
Absolutely. Is there anything else you want to bring up about it?
I think that we...
Yeah, so like just to kind of wrap it up, like I don't think this is the last time we'll talk about this. This is just like a introduction to the fact that like we don't have it all put together, and we're never going to claim that we do. This whole podcast is about us healing through the journey and then sharing it with you and just saying like, this is how we're dealing with it. And like comments, your own perspective, like is so appreciated, you know, like we want to keep this like a growing community of building relationship, because there is something happening out in the world these days where it's more about isolation and, you know, self-identity, and I don't even know what, and relationship doesn't have the foundation that it used to, and we kind of want to bring that back. And so we keep saying like communication, holding space, loving each other through it, just seeing each other for who we are, and remembering the person that we fell in love with, right? Like that honeymoon phase is amazing, and I wish it could last forever. However, the more you know each other, and then that honeymoon phase turns into, I just know you so much more, and I love you that much deeper. You know, honeymoon's like, I don't know anything about you. You're easy to love. Once you know a lot, it's like, I know a lot about you, and there's so much more to love now.
But the charm of the honeymoon phase can stick around.
Yeah, she does a good job of keeping that around. Thank you. So, to wrap it up, communicate, love each other, hold space, fight. It's healthy, but fight nice.
Fight healthy.
Fight soft. Fight with the end goal to fix it, not to just
fight
be
the
right.
problem, not each other.
Yeah, and there's like, I think fighting actually stops when you don't have the need to be right anymore. And what's right is what feels good for both people to like come together and be in peace and harmony within each other by understanding each other.
We say that a lot in our fights. Neither one of us is right or wrong.
No. Yeah, and you aren't, and he ain't, and she ain't, and they ain't, and we ain't. Nobody's right. We're all right, because we all have our own perspective. And it's really about understanding each other's perspective and finding one perspective that meets each other with that problem out here that's fixed and loved and healed at this point. Yeah. So if you got nothing more to say,
just we love them and goodbye.
We love you and goodbye.
We love you and goodbye.
Thank you.